Hello and welcome to a new lesson. What is the concept of constituent in a sentence? It is a part of the series of lectures in the subject matter of syntax. What is constituent? The word constituent refers to being a part of a whole. It means that constituent is the same as that of part. Both constituent and part carry the same meaning. The plural form of part is parts, and the plural form of constituent is constituents. We continue our discussion. What is whole? Now let us understand the concept of whole. The word whole refers to being all of something that is complete in itself. In other words, entirety of something. That is basically the idea of the concept of something being whole. We continue our discussion in the same respect. What is the relationship between whole and part? Now let us discuss the idea of whole and part, what we call constituent. Is there any relation between the concept of whole and part? Does something as a whole complete in itself, or parts, constituents of something contribute to the making of whole as something? We move on to the next point of discussion. Synthesis of parts. For sure, any complete thing in itself is the result of the arrangement of parts or constituents. Without the synthesis of parts or constituents, something is impossible to be completed in its entirety. Now we talk about structure of whole. Thus, we come to the point of intellectual conviction that the structure of whole of something is divisible into parts, what we know them as constituents. This idea of a structure of something as a whole can be applied to anything. That anything may be something that is simple or complex. It may refer to a bicycle, a chair, a mobile, or even a car, or for that matter, an airplane. When we say of a thing that is complex, we don't mean that it is complicated, though it may be complicated sometimes, but that, we continue, concept of whole. It is divisible into parts. We call them constituents. There are different kinds of parts or different categories or kinds of constituents. The parts, constituents, are arranged in a specifiable or a special way, that each part, constituent, has a certain specifiable, special, particular function in the structure of thing as a whole. We move on to the next point of discussion, that is structure of bicycle as a whole, to understand the concept. Let us have an example of bicycle to understand the concept of parts, constituents to the structure of bicycle as a whole. A bicycle can be analyzed into many ways, in many different ways. One of the best ways in which a bicycle can be analyzed is to divide the structure of bicycle into major parts, constituents, such as wheels, a frame, a chain, handlebars, among other things. We continue. A structure of part. Here in this case we talk about wheel as a part of the bicycle, constituent of the bicycle. Well, tire, a rim, spokes, hub, and valve are constituents of a bicycle, but they are constituents of bicycles only because they are constituents of the wheel, which in turn is a constituent of the bicycle. The relationship between tire, rim, spokes, hub, valve, and bicycle is indirect, mediated by wheel. There is no direct connection between the bicycle and the rest of the parts, constituents of the wheel. Thus, we come to the point that specifying the function of constituents is an important part of structural analysis of an object, of a thing. We continue our discussion. Concept of constituent part in a sentence. The same technique is being applied when it comes to the point of analyzing the structure of a sentence. It is very important to understand the part constituent of a sentence. Then we should proceed to study the parts, constituents of that specific part constituent, in this case the wheel. We keep going down to break each part constituent into further parts and then assess the role of each constituent in the making of a thing. This is basically the idea of concept of constituent in a sentence. Hierarchical structure of a sentence. Hierarchical structure of a bicycle. We have one structure of bicycle. It has parts such as wheel, then we have a spoke, and then we have tube. Now we have wheel. Wheel has further parts, rim and spoke. Now the question is, which of the following tree diagrams best represents the structural relationship between bicycle and spoke? Do you think the structure A makes a good sense, or do you think structure B makes a good sense? The correct response is B. Why? Because bicycle has direct connection with the wheel, and wheel has further direct connection with the rim and spoke. But the structure A, in the first, bicycle has the connection with the wheel, but bicycle does not have direct connection with the spoke or with the tube. Therefore, A is not the correct answer. Keeping this idea in mind, we move on to the next stage of our discussion, that is steps of syntactic structure. What is that? In language, or particularly in the study of syntactic structure, we follow three most important steps. What are they? First, we analyze linguistic expressions into their constituents. Second, we identify the categories of those constituents. And third, we determine their functions. These are the three most important steps before we analyze a structure of a sentence. We move on to the next stage of our discussion. Words not immediate constituents. What are they? What do sentences consist of? The obvious answer is words, because without words we cannot make sentence. We cannot construct sentence. But are mere words the immediate constituents of the sentences that contain them? The answer is no. Why and how? We will continue to explore the idea behind this philosophy. Hierarchical structure of bicycle and sentence is same. In the way we have analyzed the structure of a bicycle, we will have to follow the same to analyze sentences through hierarchical structure. We move on. Sentences as structure forces. How? Sentences have structure forces. The very idea of hierarchical structure abandons the idea of sentences consisting of words. When we analyze a sentence in a hierarchical manner, we abandon the idea of the philosophy that words are everything in the sentence. Words do play important part, but words are not the only components that convey the meaning in the whole message of a sentence. How? We will continue to explore the idea. Let's draw a tree diagram of a sentence. And the sentence is, Old Sam sunbathed beside a stream. This is our sentence as an example to structure into a tree diagram. How? The sentence, Old Sam sunbathed beside a stream. Normally we can divide that. We have the word old, we have the word Sam, we have sunbathed beside a stream. How many words do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this sentence consists of 6 words. But are mere the words conveying the whole idea? Think about this. Meantime, we continue our discussion. Look at the sentence. Old Sam sunbathed beside a stream. Now we are making a tree diagram of this sentence. The first segment of the sentence, Old Sam. And Old Sam can be further divided into 2 parts, Old and Sam. Because Old has direct connection with the word Sam. Old does not have direct connection with the word stream or beside or sunbathed. Remember this point. It's very, very important to understand the hierarchical structure of a sentence. We move on to the next. Sunbathed. We have the next word. But this word is further divided into sunbathe as verb, and then we change into past, we add D. Then we have the word beside a stream, another chunk of the sentence. Further we can divide this into beside and then a stream. And then a stream has 2 components, a and a stream. Likewise, we can make tree diagram of any sentence in order to understand the syntactic patterns, syntactic components in the making of a sentence. And this makes a lot of sense because merely words don't convey everything. We continue. So what we come to the point is that mere words are not immediate constituents of the sentence. The words in a sentence must work in groups. They must develop immediate relationship with each other, as we talked about, like Old Sam, sunbathed beside a stream. We continue to discuss this point. The words which form groups are known as phrases, and phrases have their own position in the structure of the sentence. We continue to talk about the same idea. In short, while sentences certainly contain words, they don't consist of words. They consist of phrases. This is very important. They consist of phrases. And phrases are further divided into words. Like we have just talked about, Old Sam sunbathed beside a stream. These are the phrases. We continue to hit upon the same idea. Having recognized it as a phrase, we must treat its words as parts, not directly of the sentence, but of the phrase itself. This phrase is intermediate between the sentence and its words, just as wheels are intermediate between the bicycle and its spokes. I hope this makes the idea very much clear. I don't want to repeat. We continue to talk about, in summary, what we come to understand is that hierarchical structure consists of parts or elements of something complex arranged in orderly form. That is the basically idea, philosophy behind the hierarchical structure of a sentence. Hope you understand the concept. Thank you and goodbye.